Hello and welcome into the Sporting Pod. Along with Tony Allegretti and Emerson Burris, I'm Cole Pepper. Coming up today on the pod, positive signs for the men's team who are unbeaten in 3. The women continue to prepare for Season 2, and we put a wrap on the World Cup because Tony's sick of it. We are fed by The Bearded Pig, locally owned and operated with the original location in San Marco. Make sure you swing by The Bearded Pig for great barbecue and great times.
Not me.
Last week we got the snort out.
Oh,
Yeah, we
were
did.
you on?
You didn't
Yeah.
listen?
No, I haven't listened yet.
Wow.
No, I sort
How
of.
dare you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry.
it's okay.
Kids, are we okay here? Can we move on?
Yep, go
on
ahead,
the other
Dad.
side of the room. It's fine.
You guys
We'll
go to opposite corners until you cool down. The men emerged with a 2-2 draw against Brooklyn. Early goals from Emil Jääskeläinen and Ahmad Al-Kak. They conceded 2 in the second half, including a disputed penalty. I think well disputed, with good measure. They're at El Paso on Saturday, and then at Sacramento the following Saturday. So you're talking about back-to-back road trips before they get back home to face Indy 11 on August the 15th. But with some of the new additions and more to come, guys getting healthy, this is looking more like the kind of team I thought we would see when the season began.
Agreed. We're having more of the ball. We're in their third more, a lot more than some previous, sort of parts of the season. I like it. I like what he's doing. I feel like this last match, maybe the subs could have come on a little sooner. So muggy and hot and gross that I think we can take advantage of that. Maybe a slight bit better with some of these new fresh legs. But
it was 2 games also in a week, so Wednesday, Saturday.
Yeah.
And now the squad has morphed to have an older look to it now than it did at the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. So Rafferty Petter and Kieran Sadlier both came on a little bit later. I'm kind of with you though. Yeah. When those two guys are on the pitch, things are happening. Mm-hmm. Ahmad Al-Kak now back to being healthy is making things happen, and Jääskeläinen, who's been creating opportunities, hasn't always been able to convert, but created a lot of opportunities this year. There's a good look in terms of the attack. One of the things that I'd like to see is the continued growth and development of the midfield. I think some of the moves that have been made on the back line have strengthened that situation. And I think Raheem Summersall, who's come in, has been a very good addition to the midfield. And he and Petter get, he and Jordan Rossiter get kind of in that dual holding mid role.
Do we have an update on Rito's injury?
No, that one worries me because
he is a baller.
He has made a major impact.
Might be our best baller.
When he came off the pitch, he kind of gave this sort of like it popped kind of sign, but we'll see. We'll see how long it takes him to bounce back. Hamstrings are tricky; you never quite know.
I feel like this team has been through the ringer with their hamstrings all season.
Well,
yeah.
Listen, one of the things that happens in a very hot, muggy environment is you sweat more.
Yeah.
And that can dehydrate your body and can make you more susceptible to, cramps and pulls. And so that's just something that I was having this conversation with Steve Fell the other day, the head of performance for Sporting JAX, and talking about how, Tony, to your point about the heat maybe being a weapon for us as the season plays out. And it can be, but your first summer in Jacksonville, you're dealing with it just like anybody else is. Yeah. Once you get to your second summer, well, now you've kind of been through it, and your body's like, oh, I remember this now.
You get traded to, Indy.
Right, well, and as my friend Keith Brantley, the 1996 Olympic marathoner, always says, the body is an adaptation machine. Yeah. And so your body will adapt to the environment in which it finds itself. So if you've been through it, and I mean, Jaguars rookies always have the same kind of issue, and then they wind, in training camp and early stages of the season. You got to get through it, and you've got to be in it, and you've got to live in it. And so we'll see. It should be a bit of a benefit as the season goes on, particularly for northern teams coming down. But it needs to be a major benefit, a major push for Sporting JAX, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, and we're playing better. I mean, just flat out playing better. We're much more appetizing product to watch.
100%.
So,
Yeah.
appetizing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with dollar dogs and dollar beers.
Heck yeah.
Good point.
I'm very excited for this.
Is that every game now? We had it last game.
I don't want to step in it, so
All right.
I'm not exactly sure, but
it's
do
possible.
feel like it's definitely ongoing. I can't say every game.
Okay.
I know
All
that I know there's plans for it.
All right,
Did you
good.
guys watch Ted Lasso?
Yes.
We're playing Danny Rojas this weekend.
That is true.
Yes.
At El Paso.
Christo
I thought you meant like there was a new
Fernandez.
episode.
Oh,
no,
no.
yes, yeah.
Cristo
Yes.
Fernandez,
Football is live.
who for those who don't know, he was a pretty good footballing prospect growing up,
Yep.
and then got injured his knee, I think, and then got into acting, and now he's in his mid to late 30s. And how old is Cristo Fernandez?
He is 35.
35, so mid 30s, and we could see him on the pitch
Yeah, that'd
against
be
Sporting
cool.
JAX.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So
Come get your ticket and get a picture with him.
well, the game is in El Paso. So
Well, that'd be different.
Yeah.
So you have to go to El Paso to get your
All
ticket.
right, as mentioned previously.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm barely back.
You're not going to El Paso?
No, I actually looked at tickets. It's too difficult. It's too
Oh,
weird.
darn. Sorry.
Yeah.
You got to take a burro.
Yeah,
and
you
then
got
there's
it's like
southbound train.
You know how my Frontier deal is like it's like you have to leave on like Thursday to get there Saturday, and it's just
times the
bad.
square root of the
Yeah,
coefficient.
they act like oh yeah, we've got a flight to El Paso, and then it's like you squint and it's like oh that's 3 days worth of layovers. Like,
Yeah.
nah, it's not really.
Yeah,
it doesn't work.
There are some sites in the USL Championship that are very accessible, and there are others that take a little more to get to. Of course, Jacksonville, almost impossible to fly directly into Jacksonville from anywhere other than a hub. So that can be.
I have to go through Atlanta tonight. I'm heading home.
Emerson is leaving us for the weekend.
Yes.
Are you Delta?
I am
Probably,
Delta. Yes. I was originally supposed to go to Des Moines, then that changed, so now I'm Delta to
That's
Atlanta, then Kansas
the
City.
JAX to Delta rip is the most passengers in Delta's whole thing.
Jacksonville to Atlanta.
Yeah,
on Delta.
Yeah, is that
Oh,
what
wow.
it
And
is?
it's like a
Yeah.
47-minute flight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Not
one
bad.
of the one of the most. I think it is the most popular numbers
that?
wise.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about where you can find Sporting JAX on local media every Tuesday night at 6. The Sporting JAX Coaches Show presented by Honda of the Avenues on 1010XL. You can listen on demand and live streaming on 1010XL.com. And the Sporting JAX Report comes to you Saturday at noon on Channel 4 and Sunday at noon this week on ABC 25. Last week, the first time where we had the show on both stations over the weekend, and very good viewership, by
Because
the way.
who doesn't want to
Yeah.
see more of Culpepper and Emerson Burris?
Well, I mean, more so about everything Sporting JAX related and the great
Yeah.
stories we're bringing
Take
you.
the attention away from us. Yes, you're right.
Sure.
Let's,
Yeah.
nobody's tuning in because they just can't get enough of seeing this mug. Emerson probably has a few more fans who are tuning in to see her.
Maybe.
But it's all those great things going on with Sporting JAX. This weekend we'll be talking as well with Tony Allegretti about
Woohoo!
lessons learned on his trip to the UK in terms of community work. Let's hear from you before we jump into the soccer side of things, Tony. Just give me a 30,000-foot overview of the things that you came away with, particularly checking out what Newcastle United does in the community.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things is, like, again, and I said this on the show, but they're miles, years ahead of us in terms of
Century and a half.
Yeah, century and a half of working in their community and doing things. But that said, they have some excellent best practices. So I was able to meet them at their hub. It's called the Newcastle NU Castle, and it was paid for by a very rich former player, somebody who made a ton of money that was from the neighborhood where it is, and they're all Everton in the community is like the Sioux. They're all in these parts of town that need the services and help and so forth. And so it's just an absolute great charitable organization. But the things that I wanted to learn more about is how they work with schools, how they scale, how they're able to serve as many people, and mostly students, but they again, they're way ahead of us. Our narrow focus is getting kids on the soccer pitch that don't have access to soccer.
Yep.
That's it. But they've got food pantries, and they've got lots of different every sort of special.
Did you mention job?
Needs.
Was job placement?
Oh yeah, job placement's a huge thing,
Yeah.
and that's almost every Premier League club has that sort of thing, trying to get folks back to work. A lot of work with at-risk youth. So they have a name for at-risk youth that I can't remember right now, but there's they're really focusing on eradicating knife crimes. So it's a big problem with their teens, and so just really interesting, good ideas and programs that help the greater community. And when the greater community is thriving, the more people have become fans and become part of it. One of the really cool things that I like that they do in Newcastle is they've got representatives that work for the foundation in the schools themselves. So yeah, they work, with some programmatic stuff at PE and after school and all that. But these are people that wear the kit, wear the Newcastle stuff, and the kids become, they're mentees, and they're and they look up to these guys, and they're younger folks, so guys and girls, and so they have somebody that they can talk to, and that builds such a good, I think, bond between, the well-meaning of the club and the community that a lot of time needs help. And so anyway, just loved all that. And in fact, I've got a follow-up meeting today with them just to kind of make sure that I have a good download. And there are a couple things from Newcastle and from Everton that I'm really hoping that we can fold into what we do.
That's excellent. All right, okay. We'll keep our eyes peeled for that. The women, we mentioned. I don't think we mentioned. Did we do? This was after. Yeah, after, because we record on Friday, so after the game, 5-0 win over Wrexham. Wrexham yesterday, as we record this on Thursday morning in the Gemstone Media Studios, won their first match in the Women's European Champions League. So
handily, they won handily,
very comfortably. Now it's a pre-group stage match.
It's a qualifier.
It's basically a qualifier. But listen, when we are trying to compare league to league, it can be tough. And when you watch a match, as we were able to do via the stream from Wrexham, you can see how fast and decisive our women were in that match. And then Wrexham goes out and really handles another European team.
Was it a
Polish? I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
good squad too. Like
the one you in order to get in, you got to be doing things like winning the Welsh League, which is what Wrexham did. Mm-hmm. But it just gives me such a good feeling to know that when you start to compare around the world, even though we talk a lot about where does the play in the U.S. In the Gainbridge Super League compare to say the NWSL or the WSL in England,
right?
Our women are playing at a very high level.
It's so good, and we've got to. I think we've got to do whatever we can to keep those friendlies rolling, right? Because that was such a shot in the arm for us. And I have to say, I'm not allowed to talk about Newcastle, right? But Newcastle is always trying to get promoted into the WSL up there.
They're putting more resources into the team.
Exactly. They're firing coaches because they didn't get in, right? They're like, and we. Again, I can't talk about the match, right? But we had the ball. Like, we had the ball. I know they were. I know they weren't shocked, but they were. I know they were
impressed by
thank you.
How we played.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I'll say this is just crazy small world. But their director of football on the women's side is Amelia's sister-in-law from our office.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
so Joe's sister is the head of women's soccer
Oh, how about
over
that?
there.
Love
Isn't that
that.
crazy?
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, I got to meet her. It was super good. Anyway, so went from Newcastle to Wrexham in both matches. Stacey had them jumbled, like mixed.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't just starting 11 that you would expect.
Right, right. And boy, man, I got goosebumps earlier. I'm getting them again. Our new women are they're
fitting in.
fantastic.
Yep.
They are fitting in. We are rolling. I feel really good about this squad.
This weekend, Sporting JAX women go down to Tampa to play Tampa Bay Sun in a closed door. I'll be down there for that.
Are
and
you?
do
I'm actually flirting with.
All right. Well, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to do some interviews afterwards. Again, we're getting kind of mixed signals on what we can show in terms of video highlights and so forth.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to show goals or formations or things like that. But that's going to be a better test because you kind of know, and Tampa Bay's made some changes in the offseason and added some players after their disappointing season last year. So I think that'll be a better gauge of where we are and especially where those new players are. Mm-hmm. But Emerson, some of those new faces are already looking like, they're going to contribute.
Well, I was talking with Tony before you arrived here, and I hung out with Jamie Gerstenberg last night, and I asked her about the personalities of all of the new women, and she said they fit in perfectly. They're very fun and outgoing, and everyone is fitting in great. And so I'm excited to do some player features on the new girls and get to know them, and then, of course, see how they impact this team on the field going into our second year.
One of the big veteran additions this offseason is Ginger Fontenot, who played last year for Spokane and was a big factor for them going down that right side. I had her on the radio show this past Tuesday. You can go to 1010xl.com on demand and listen to it. Really enjoyed my conversation with her. She's she studied cinema arts and film and communications as well. And
Jamie described her as very smart, which obviously checks out
she
considering
went
where she went.
She went to Penn.
Okay, yeah.
Reunited with Paige Kenton.
Yeah, about half the pictures on the Penn website of her are she and Paige together, in some amount of action. But really enjoyed getting to know her. She was and you can tell she's very bright. But also, some people are smart and don't necessarily show it in conversation.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I don't know, Tony. just generally looking in some direction. But she was great. So I urge you to go back and listen to that interview from Tuesday night.
All of the new women, I thought played really well. I had really very few notes, but I have to say, Descari is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
She had a presence. There was, and I was trying to explain it to Emerson before the show. There were balls that typically you would let land, there's two people kind of going for it. You would let land and do kind of something, sort of
Try
more
to win a
safe.
second
Yeah,
ball,
she would just rip those out of the air and then we would roll and in so much
Fearless.
speed,
Yeah.
so much speed. I'm so stoked for this squad.
I am too. I'm very excited about it. And if you are as well, or getting more so, hearing Tony and Emerson and I talk about it, you can pick up your season tickets now. A season ticket can start as low as $70 for the whole season.
Let's go.
Call 904-863-KICK or visit sportingjax.com to get your season ticket today. All right. World Cup has come to an end with Spain winning 1-0 over Argentina. I want to ask each of you for your match of the tournament, player of the tournament, and your story of the tournament. And Emerson, let's start with you.
Oh, thanks. My match of the tournament is England at Mexico.
Oh, that's a good one.
England had to play at Azteca, easily one of the most difficult places for visiting teams to play. The altitude, the crowd atmosphere. I have lots of notes. You texted me yesterday to prepare, so I have prepared. Jude Bellingham scored twice within 98 seconds. England went down with 10 men, and they still found a third goal through Harry Kane's penalty. So that is my match of the tournament.
All right, Tony, your match of the tournament?
So I don't have many notes, but I'm
shocked.
going to say the third place game because 10 goals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and to be honest, I had France winning it all, and I was really I don't know, kind of surprised that England was able to put 6 on France, even though it was, obviously third place game.
Sort of an all-star game.
Yeah, and it exactly. And so, but, we're in America. Why not have a Harlem Globetrotters style, third place game?
All right, my match of the tournament was Argentina-Cape Verde. Partly because of the way it went and how thrilling it was in Cape Verde, staying tight with Argentina the whole way. I may have mentioned to you that I watched it in a little towny bar in Asheville, North Carolina, and the entire bar by the second half was invested in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that just shows what soccer, the World Cup, sports can do, which is it's live and it's unscripted. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Yeah. This isn't, a Netflix series that you may not know what's going to happen, but it's scripted.
It's amazing.
To watch it in as it's happening, and the human drama of sport
and the knockoff effect, right? So Holland, like I probably 70% of my texts now to my wife, who I love her, is Holland related, and we haven't really we don't
Erling Haaland. You're saying. Yes.
Yeah. Not the
country.
No, because she loves him.
Yeah.
like most of America now, right? In probably the world. And it's just so funny because there's so many great memes, and he's like, obviously we know him. Yeah. And so I love to have one more. I love to have something soccer related to be able to talk with people that love that. And he's such a good dude,
So is he your player of the tournament?
He is.
And I don't mean
I didn't know we were going to segue to that, but he is. That's literally, and it's mostly about the things off the ball. Now, obviously, he killed it. Right, he did really well, and he's young, so we're gonna see him for multiple more.
Yeah,
and so I don't know,
Ballon d'Or finalist,
magnetic man, and I think Norway people are cool. So,
your player of the tournament, Emerson?
Well, I figured you guys would talk about the forwards, so I'm throwing a curveball in here with Marc Cucurella from Spain, the left back, which is the position I played most aside from keeper. He was constantly available in possession. He shut down the elite scorers, created overloads going forward, defended one-on-one exceptionally well. I think he
Plus
was
the hair.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I have a note on the hair. I've heard that he doesn't pull his hair back because he has a son with like autism, and that's the way that his son can tell that it's him.
I wasn't sure if it was that or if that he was trying to emulate Sophie Jones.
No, they do have similar locks.
They do.
Hers is a little longer, I would say.
Maybe
but I thought that was really cool because
that is really cool.
A lot. I'm not a huge fan of him with Chelsea, right? And he's not super likable, I don't think, until the tournament. And
right.
and I agree. He was much more lovable.
As a play-by-play man, I appreciate somebody who makes it obvious who they are on the pitch. Rather than looking like everybody else, and you have to squint or get out the binoculars or whatnot. My player of the tournament is Messi. Well, listen, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to tell you why he's my player of the tournament. He basically carried Argentina through the group stage. Yeah. At his age, 39, to have 8 goals and 4 assists in the World Cup and take his team. It was a non-factor in the final. Argentina was largely a non-factor in the final.
0 shot.
But for him at that age to do that, 4 years after we thought he had played his last World Cup, if anybody has any doubt about who the greatest footballer in the world is, career-wise, I put him above Pele. I put him above Maradona. I put him above Cristiano Ronaldo. And that's probably my Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. But I think it's amazing. Now, I think the way that Argentina behaved through much of the game and especially after the game is deplorable. Mm-hmm. And it is very on brand for Argentina. Mm-hmm. But maybe because Messi left to go to Spain when he was barely a teenager.
He did try to snitch.
He did. Yes, on the
we
mouth.
Can't leave that out.
I was going to get to that.
Okay, sorry.
Hand over the mouth thing was. I think
desperate.
Cucurella was saying like, everything okay? Is he okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then that was a desperation move, and it was really unbecoming of a great player who usually doesn't take part of that. He's not a guy who dives and writhes on the ground compared to many others. I appreciate.
I think there might be some folks that might dispute that.
Well,
he's kind of a diver. He does dive.
No, I mean you look at but.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to contrary.
I mean, he stood around for 115 minutes in the final.
Again, you guys who are haters.
Do I think he's the best player in the world? Yeah. Absolutely.
As I said, he was a non-factor in the final. Okay. However, if he's not on that team, they don't get out of the group stage.
100%.
Okay.
That is, and if that's not the player of the tournament, I don't know what is.
Good point.
Holland was remarkable. Mbappe scored a ton of goals. Vozinha was a great story, but Messi was the player of the tournament for me. Obviously, Rodri won the Golden Ball, and he was phenomenal for a team that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I would say, in terms of Spain, I can make the case that Spain, that is the best team performance in a World Cup in my lifetime. And I have to go back and they were so dominant. They conceded one goal in a tournament that had more games and more goals scored than any other World Cup. And they only concede one goal, and that was to Belgium, by the way. And that they were able to do that, play as they did, and with Lamine Yamal not really making a major difference, he was one of the few superstars that really didn't
played his part.
But
yeah,
right. Superstars playing their part usually means creating goals, scoring goals if you're an attacking mid. So he wasn't as big a factor for them. It was really about the defending.
I think give him some time. He's 19.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
But you look at what he did in the Euros 2 years ago, and he was dominant. And he might be the best player in the world right now, at least in terms of what's happening. With him playing for Barcelona. But he didn't have the impact on his team that Messi and Holland and Mbappe and Bellingham and these others had in their squad. So that's my player of the tournament. Mm-hmm. Story of the tournament, Tony?
Okay, so I think story of the tournament was the fans. And I think with just the images of the Dutch fans, just the mobs, all the really the goodwill, all the great memes, all of the almost all of the energy, with the exception of some I think almost all Argentina kind of grossness was really uplifting. It started with the Scots, and it started in Boston and all that. And it was pervasive by the end. That this tournament and what made it so good, take out all the gross and the politics and the just whatever. The fans made it just absolutely lovely, and that's my story. I think
I love it. Yeah. Emerson?
Yeah, I second all of that. The Freddie videos, Freddie from Germany,
which, by the way, maybe as somebody described it, I think Jason Davis on Morning Kick Around described it as artificial turf.
Okay, sure, but still so fun to see everything he did and make the journey and do the road trips and all of that. I thought it was entertaining. I think that's a great story.
Yeah.
Fans finding Buc-ee's in Walmart for the first time. Right. You mentioned it, the Orange Army, the Tartan Army. Mm-hmm. Just the joy of the American fan base welcoming people from around the globe. And I have to give a shout out to my grandma, my Mimi. She's 80 years old, and she went to a local bar with her friends and watched tons of matches. She said she loves the Spain team because the guys are cute. And she has now adopted Barcelona and Brighton as her teams and is going to pay attention to the game going forward, which I think is another part of the story, just bringing so much attention to the game, and hopefully it brings fans to Hodges Stadium.
We need to get Mimi a Barca jersey.
We do, yes.
I've got to get a Man City jersey for Tammy. So,
by the way, I'm sure you can get at her local pub. They can pull up some Sporting JAX matches.
Surely,
so feel free.
I'll give them a call.
We can definitely get you some Sporting JAX merch.
Yes,
get Mimi representing
call the
there.
bar in West Des Moines, Iowa.
West Des Moines, born and raised. My story of the tournament is all of the things that people said were going to be terrible in the tournament turned out, almost without exception, to be wrong. Yes, the ticket prices were too high, but the atmospheres were amazing. Every match until the final that felt a little sterile. Not a lot of Spain supporters at that match compared to the number of Argentinians, and a lot of folks who I think were just there because corporate types. It happens at the Super Bowl as well. The hydration breaks, which, by the way, is not the first time they've happened. And if you are a soccer purist, you'll probably complain about this, and I know a few soccer purists who did. But what it did was create more drama. It kept guys
alive
on the pitch.
Maybe,
again, if you're playing in Atlanta in the air conditioning, maybe not as big a deal. But if you're playing in Kansas City in July, believe me,
Miami was so hot. It was so disgusting.
Yeah.
There was no breeze. There was nothing. So, it probably did save lives.
So, and you talk about more teams. Oh, it's too many teams. You had an extra round in the knockout stage. But all of these things created more drama. And again, if you're a soccer purist, you say, well, we didn't really have any games that were just really pure great footballing games. Okay, you can say that, but teams in the World Cup don't venture a lot because there's too much at risk. So everybody's going to be, at least to some extent, more deliberate in how they attack and be a little more mindful of defending. But 48 teams meant more games, and it wasn't like we had a ton more blowouts or one-sided affairs than we've had in the past. In fact, I think we had more great games, more dramatic games. And when we went around to our match of the tournament, I came up with 6 or 7 that could have been contenders for that.
Oh, yeah.
So
how many minutes was Egypt from going on and Congo and I think 48 is right size. They're already talking about 64.
Of course they are, because again, the two things that are indisputable is that FIFA is voracious in its appetite for more, and that our president will try to jump into a trophy celebration photo at any given opportunity. Yeah. So we know those two things are the case. We've seen them both happen, and we've seen them both happen in the Club World Cup and in the World Cup now. Those aside, though, I think the tournament, the good feelings, the good vibes, the dramatics, the unbelievable theater, the settings, again, I just think it was all of these, this can't happen. All this. Well, there's always ways to get better.
Yeah.
But people who complained about having it in the United States and Canada and Mexico beforehand, if you got them in a moment where they're being completely honest, have to have admitted that this is one of the great tournaments in soccer.
Of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And those ticket prices came down. I know a lot of people that were able to go that had no ambition to be able to do that.
Yeah,
they
some of them did come down. Some of them still were, the price of a used car.
Well, the one that I was able to go to because I'm blessed. Thank you, Adidas. Was the hard, from what I understood, was the hardest one, which was Colombia, Portugal, and Miami.
Yeah.
That was a really tough ticket. But some of the Atlanta matches, people got them for like $140.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
That's
Can we make a way too early prediction for the 2030 World Cup?
Yes.
Okay,
please.
go.
Well, no, you guys first, please.
Oh,
Winner.
Cabo Verde.
Okay.
Not really.
Right.
No.
Okay, who would you actually say?
In 4 years, I couldn't even possibly. France will be in the mix.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Spain will be in the mix.
You miss Rodri, but almost everybody else.
We'll see. We'll see about what happens with England at that point. Argentina, I don't see being in the mix at that point. Do you have somebody who you're trying to?
Well, yes.
What are you doing?
I think the easy pick is Spain, repeating at home, but I'm going to go against the grain and say England.
Okay.
And Jude Bellingham and Saka will lead the way.
All right.
Could happen.
We'll see. I'm not.
We'll check back in 4 years when I'm right.
Don't even know who it is who's going to be leading them at that point. So, speaking of the World Cup, our World Cup contest, we had some dispute last week from Emerson,
Yes.
who thought that she couldn't possibly have lost.
Well, no. I just wanted to double check all the points.
So I went back and double checked the points. Emerson and her dad also went back and double checked the points. I did find a couple of 2 points extra for Emerson than we had previously, but the final contest, with Emerson did have Spain. She had the winner, but not enough to eclipse Tony. Emerson had 118, Tony with 122. I had 123.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Tune in to the Sporting Pod.
Tune in next week when these two sore losers will join me once again. And
we haven't even had our sore loser dinner from the Premier League, which we've got to
stop going everywhere. Stop traveling.
I'm back. No. And when we do that, let's work up the rules for the Premier League.
Yes.
Coming up.
We'll do that. Yeah. That'll be part of it. All right. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you've gotten through it all the way to this point,
you're a man.
How?
Yeah.
And B, please share this podcast with your soccer fan friends. We want to grow the community around the podcast as we move forward to the second season for the women and the second half of the first season for the men. For Emerson Burris and Tony Allegretti, I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks so much for listening to
The Sporting Pod.